Hi, welcome to Once Upon a Stitch Nook and my desk where the creativity happens. So today I'm going to have a little rambly video to talk a bit about not quite my journey with crochet, but kind of my journey in finding my crochet style, if you will. I've seen so many like how to find your art style videos, as I'm also a artist to some capacity. I illustrate picture books in watercolor. But I think it's kind of an interesting thing that isn't talked about quite as much in crochet. And I think that's interesting because I've really been thinking about it a lot lately. And I think I've actually like found what it is and what are the things that are drawing me to pieces. And like actually being able to identify the aspects of it. It makes it easier to search for it. It makes it easier to draft my own patterns when I specifically know the type of vibe and things I'm going for, instead of just like, oh, that's pretty. A lot of things are pretty, but some kind of either speak to me more that, oh, that's pretty and I'd wear it, or that's pretty and that's kind of more out there, or that's pretty as a night, do you get what I'm saying? Or am I, anyway, in my own little world? But this is my self indulgent time to just crochet and talk about what I want. So I'm going to kind of explain how I found my crochet, or maybe identified my crochet style. So it kind of really was becoming more clear in the past year because I've been designing more crochet makes and particularly wearables. Um, I guess because for a while I was really focused on the whole small business inventory grind, and I am one of those people who does not mind making something over and over again, unless it's something in particular I find difficult to make. If it's not difficult to make, I do just enjoy the process of making, and I like having something that I can just be making and not have to put a lot of thought into, not a lot of focus into intricacies or figuring out the math, when I just know what I'm doing and I can go for it. I love that. So I had that going for several years, and so occasionally I would make a new, usually I would be designing things with a product in mind, so something recreatable, something small enough, something to fit into what is already selling, which primarily on my shop has been like these strawberry bags, which then became strawberry water bottle holder bags, and the headbands that corresponded with them. And so I kept making different versions of that. But over the past year, I started actually making patterns and started designing my own pieces. And over the winter, I went crazy with making color work hats, which was very funny because I made one color work hat from a pattern I bought. And then I was hooked. I was going for it. I was making so many designs. I learned how to use stitch fiddle, and then I'm just checking out my designs to share them. And that was a little different of a process because I didn't have to do much math in regards to the construction of the hat, because I kept using the same hat formula more or less. And so it was more about the color work. Then go a few months and I started making more garments. I started making vests and ponchos. So, because I was very intimidated about the math involved for something that's more fitted. Um, and then speed roll into the last few months where I've done more fitted garments. So I've done like made to measure dresses, tops, and then cardigans. And especially over these collections, because it all started, these collections in particular, my cottage series collections, started with just this one idea of a cardigan I wanted to make. And I was like, well, I want to get some more back than just my own cardigan, and this is kind of a cool design. I'm going to make a pattern for it. I'm going to figure out how to do that. And from that, it kept giving more ideas to other items to make. Oh, a matching dress. Oh, a matching headband. Oh, a bag would be cute with this. And then from there, I was like, well, now I want to make this other version of it, and now this version. And I was finding what I kept thinking of, or what these pieces kept reminding me of, and also the other patterns I had been making from even the hats, that they really pulled at things I liked since childhood, and particularly certain characters in fashion I've liked since childhood. So a lot of the movies and TV shows I grew up with. And while it is now trendy, I've always been kind of old-fashioned in my fashion taste. So I did like the whole cottagecore vibe. I did like kind of Regency, Empire waist vibe before it was more trendy as it is now. And so it kind of just became a good time to share that with others who were also finding they like that style. And so when I realized that and I started looking at what these things were reminding me of, and I realized, okay, Anna Green Gables, Pride and Prejudice, uh, certain cozy animes that I really liked, and like even kind of Avatar. I like a bit of influence from certain cultures that have this style, or and certainly like modest styles that I like, as well as pulling from my own culture, from more Slavic culture, and the kind of color work was greatly inspired that, and the folk art that was kind of pulled into visual garment pieces. I pulled a lot from that, or these princesses, not only like from Disney or like the Disney fairies as well, but also from my growing up, I saw a lot of Czech fairy tale movies, and they greatly inspired me. I was always drawn to the princesses' dresses and how they looked, and all that, and I wanted to be them. And then Lord of the Rings with the elves, I loved the elegance of it, and I like kind of the long flow. I'm kind of a bit long and lanky myself, so that leans well into that. I'm not the quite full cutesy, kawaii, full on moe kai, if I'm saying that right, aesthetic. It leans a little bit towards that because I do like to pull some cuteness into my style, but I don't feel I can go too strong into it, if you know what I mean. So I kind of find this balance, fusing several of these things together. And I was rewatching some old Barbie movies, like the early ones, and I realized how much I want those elements, and I've been pulling some of those elements out. Um, and I remember longing to be like them. And again, this isn't quite even just superficial level. I always thought how the garments, and this is kind of on the part maybe of the costume designers, reflected a lot about the character. And so the inner beauty often was reflected on the outer, and it can look a little differently if they were more humble, if we're thinking more like Erica from Princess and the Pauper, or Belle when she just has her peasant clothes. I loved those. And I liked that it showed um, their status, but also the softness in the blue choices, and the and in Belle's case, it was showing the blue was a choice to make her look different from everyone else, who was in more browns and reds and warmer tones. And I like strong femininity. I like not erasing femininity as something that is inherently weak. There are weaknesses, just as in masculinity, there are weaknesses. That's why we all have both elements in us. And so I like leaning into my femininity, and I like leaning into gentleness, kindness, and that's a huge strength to have, and to have it properly, not just being the nice guy, not being a girl who is a pushover and is afraid to step up or say no because she doesn't want to be rude. That's not what I'm talking about. And so I love these characters who really showed me a strong but gentle persona, and could wear their princessy dresses or ballet flats, things like that. And so I've been realizing that I just keep trying to nourish my inner child who's still longing to grow up and be those women that I admired. And part of that is through the fashion, which is a sort of outward reminder of the inner woman I want to be. I hope that makes sense. And I hope that kind of clarifies, that it really just sums up everything of what I wanted to say regarding this, finding my, or identifying my crochet style, where I want that nostalgia, I want that quiet strength that is just very consistent and not loud and in your face. I remember, if I can bring it back to Barbie. When it really kind of she started losing me was when it, and I like aspects of it, but I remember this one scene bothered me because if you look at, early on when we have the Swan Lake, we have Princess and the Pauper, we have the Nutcracker. I loved how she was allowed to be very soft in personality, and I'm okay with a personality switch up and a little more daring. And I did like her in this film, but in the or even Ro from the Island Princess, I liked how her personality was of a softer, feminine side, but she was very capable and she was strong and she was just showing love the whole time and showing what strength love is. Um, but when we get to the Three Musketeers, I like a lot about that movie. I do. But the scene where she gets uppity, when she has an uppity attitude towards the prince, and I don't like what he said either when he's like, girls can't be musketeers. And then she literally throws her nose up in the air um, and uh, does a little hump. I was like, I don't like that portrayal of women because I don't think that gives good credit to our arguments. I think that is whiny. It's while the argument can be good, I don't like that projection of it. And so I missed, I started missing that she was usually a little more even tempered and a little more when she would make arguments or combat something. It came from a more stable place than just looking like, but I'm upset. You know what I mean? And so I like seeing those portrayals, and there's not a great many of them of late that I really like in that vein because we are trying to do too hard the whole strong woman thing. Although there are certainly ones that are giving me hope, like Mau Mau from Apothecary Diaries, Free Run from Free Run Beyond Journey's End. But I think to conclude this, I'll just say I'm trying to make designs that reflect the women that inspired me through these mediums like TVs and shows, as silly as that may be. But yeah, I think we'll conclude it there. I'm sorry for talking your ear off. I appreciate you sticking around this far if you have. If you have, leave a comment to let me know you have. That would really mean a lot to me. But yeah, signing off.